Kids, I'm so happy you're back for another story with a lesson. This is a beautiful story. It's a story about the Rebbe's wife. Her name was Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka. One day, every day, she used to take a ride with her driver, and they would go to Brighton Beach. She would sit down and watch the waves. It's very beautiful. And one day, they were driving back, and they saw, unfortunately, what's called a sheriff. He's like a policeman, and they were taking out furniture from an apartment. It looked like somebody had not paid the rent, and they couldn't afford to pay it. And so the Rebbetzin asked the driver, his name is Chesed Halberstam, can you please stop the car, go to the sheriff, and find out if somebody pays the rent, if he'll put the furniture back in. And so that's exactly what happened. He went to the sheriff and he said, would you put the furniture back in? So the sheriff said yes. So he came and he told the Rebbetzin. So the Rebbetzin said, okay, will you please find out how much is owed? And it was something like $7,000 and something dollars. So he came back and he told the Rebbetzin, and she's sitting in the car, so she takes out her checkbook and she writes a check for $7,000. The Rebbetzin was a very, very humble person. She never liked attention. In fact, the Rebbe was also a very, very humble person. It was very, very hard for him to be a Rebbe. He never wanted to be a Rebbe. He only was a Rebbe because everybody asked him to be the Rebbe. In fact, my grandfather, who was there and was pushing for the Rebbe to become Rebbe at the time, this is going back about 70 years ago, 70 or more like 60, excuse me. So he says the story that the Rebbe was telling people, I can't be the Rebbe. To be a Rebbe, you have to have like a sign from heaven. And so they went, 10 people, they went to the Frierdiker Rebbe's grave and they asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, can you please give the Rebbe a sign? And from then on, maybe the Rebbe made other reasons why he didn't want to be the Rebbe, but he never used that because obviously, as we know, the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Rebbe had communication. The Rebbe would go to the oil all the time, and very often, sometimes he would give a message from the Frierdiker Rebbe. So, getting back to the story, the Rebbetzin was a very humble person, and so she said to Chesed, what I want you to do is I want you to take this check, please give it to the sheriff, and then right away come back to the car and we're going to zoom off because I don't want them to get embarrassed to have to see the person. In general, as you know, the best tzedakah a person can give is to give another person a job or a loan of money so they can start a business, because the worst thing is to have to take tzedakah. Nobody wants to have to take from anyone else. And so if you have to give someone, you want to do it in a way that you make it like you did nothing, or the best thing is they don't even know, so you could give it to an organization that gives to people. So giving tzedakah in a way that maintains the other person's dignity, that they don't feel ashamed or embarrassed, is the most important way and the best way to give tzedakah. And so Chesed was amazed. Wow, you just gave so much money to a complete stranger. And so the Rebbetzin said a very, very important lesson. She says, my father, who was a Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe before, he taught me that every single thing is Hashgacha Pratis. Now, you of course know what Hashgacha Pratis is, but the Baal Shem Tov was the one who taught the world about Hashgacha Pratis. He said that even a little fish in the bottom of the ocean, I think he used the word a worm. There are these worms in the bottom of the ocean. Where it goes, where it crawls, that is Hashgacha Pratis. Even a leaf that's turning over in the wind on the street, the exact direction is Hashgacha Pratis. And we say a pasuk, Hashem mitzadei gever kainanu. All the steps that we make, Hashem already designed it. So the Rebbetzin said normally when we go back from Brighton Beach, we take a certain route. I don't know the exact route, but this time we were prevented. There was a detour. Maybe they were fixing something in the road, so they had a detour. They had to go to a different route. So I was thinking, this is Hashgacha Pratis. Remember, if every single step of the way is Hashgacha Pratis, so when something different happens, so a person who's thinking, they'll say, okay, why did Hashem make something different happen? And so I realized, said the Rebbetzin, that when I saw this thing, this meant that Hashem wanted me to take care of it. And this is a tremendous lesson for all of us. I try to live with hashgacha pratis. So you can live a normal life, but once in a while something strange happens, or something that's a little bit different. Maybe somebody comes to you and says, can I help? Or can you help me? So there are two ways of looking at it. One way is it's disturbing my life. The other way of looking at it is, no, this is my life. Hashem has just sent this person to me. And so if you're a kid, often you're in school. And sometimes you can see another kid is feeling down. So if Hashem showed you the person is feeling down, that means Hashem knows you can make them feel better. And so the lesson from this is that we always have to realize that every single thing that we see and that we hear, and the Rebbe in fact says sometimes even that we think, that is hashgacha pratis. That was not an accident. It's not an accident that you are where you are, you have the friends that you have, the family that you have. And when you start to think, okay, why did Hashem want me to see this? How can I help? Then you can be like the Rebbetzin, that can you imagine what she did for that family? She saved them, and you, with Hashem's help, will bring Mashiach, because even though you might be young, you have the power with Hashem's help to bring Mashiach. I love you, and keep on doing the amazing work you're doing, because as I say from the Rebbe, that the extra mitzvahs that children do is even more powerful than the mitzvahs that the adults do. Thank you so much.